What if I told you that by the time someone forgets their own name, the brain damage had already been happening, silently, for 10, maybe 20 years? And here's the part that should scare you. The real early signs of dementia have almost nothing to do with memory. Not forgetting where you put your keys. Not forgetting an appointment. I'm talking about things like losing your sense of smell, or suddenly hating the music you've loved your whole life, or being unable to feel sarcasm anymore. These are not random. These are not just getting older. These are your brain, sending distress signals, years before any memory problem shows up. And most doctors, most families, they completely miss them. Today, we're going to talk about 5 early signs of dementia that the research now says appear long before memory loss, some of them up to a decade before diagnosis. After this video, you are going to look at yourself, your parents, your grandparents, differently. And that awareness could change everything. Let's get into it. Here's the problem. We have been taught, by TV, by movies, by social media, that dementia looks like one thing. An older person, forgetting a name, wandering away from home, staring into space. That image is not wrong, but it is dangerously incomplete. Because dementia, whether it's Alzheimer's, Lewy body, frontotemporal, or vascular dementia, does not start with memory loss. Memory loss is actually one of the last systems to go down. Not the first. Think of the brain like a city's electrical grid. When a power crisis starts, it doesn't immediately black out the entire city. It starts knocking out specific neighborhoods. Small ones. Ones you might not even notice until suddenly, one night, a whole district goes dark. That is what dementia does. It starts in very specific, very quiet corners of the brain. Areas that control smell, emotion regulation, sleep, social judgment, and spatial awareness. By the time the memory district loses power, the crisis has been going on for years. A landmark 2023 study published in Nature Reviews Neuroscience confirmed that Alzheimer's-related brain changes begin accumulating 15 to 20 years before any symptoms are formally diagnosed. 15 to 20 years. That means that if someone is diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age 72, their brain started changing when they were in their early 50s, maybe even their late 40s. And here is what is truly heartbreaking about that. In those 15 to 20 years, there are windows. Real, biological windows, where lifestyle changes, medical intervention, and early awareness can slow things down dramatically. But those windows only help you if you know what to look for. So let me show you what to look for. 5 signs. None of them involve memory. All of them backed by neuroscience. And after each one, I want you to honestly ask yourself, or think of someone you love, whether you have noticed this. Not to panic. To prepare. Sign number 1. Loss of smell. This one surprises people every time I mention it. The loss of smell. Not complete. Not like you wake up one day and can't smell anything. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a gradual, sneaky fading. Foods start tasting a little flat. You stop noticing the coffee brewing in the morning. A candle that used to fill the room? You can barely detect it now. Most people assume this is a sinus problem, or just aging. But here is what neuroscientists discovered decades ago, and what has been confirmed in study after study since. The olfactory bulb, the brain structure responsible for smell, is one of the very first regions affected by Alzheimer's disease. In fact, the toxic proteins associated with Alzheimer's, beta-amyloid plaques and tau tangles, appear in the olfactory system before they appear almost anywhere else in the brain. Think about what that means. Your nose is essentially an early warning radar system for your brain's health. A 2017 study in the journal JAMA Neurology followed thousands of adults over several years. People who had a significantly reduced sense of smell were substantially more likely to develop mild cognitive impairment, the stage just before dementia. And here's the fascinating, slightly unsettling part. Some research suggests that an inability to correctly identify common smells, things like cinnamon, gasoline, coffee, rose, lemon, predicts dementia development more accurately than some standard cognitive tests. More accurately than asking someone to remember a list of words. Your nose knows. Now, reduced smell doesn't automatically mean dementia. COVID-19 caused smell loss in millions of people. Sinus infections do it. Certain medications do it. But here's the key question to ask. Has the smell loss been gradual? Over years? In someone over the age of 45, with no recent illness explaining it? And has it been accompanied by any other subtle changes? If yes, That is worth a conversation with a neurologist. Not a dismissal. The University of Chicago ran a simple smell test, 5 odors, $14 to administer. They found it predicted dementia with remarkable accuracy. $14. And most people never get this test. Ever. Microscope fact. In autopsy studies, Alzheimer's-related protein deposits are found in the olfactory bulb in people as young as their 30s, decades before any symptoms. Let that settle for a moment. Sign number 2, personality changes. And this one tears families apart, because no one ever suspects the brain. Personality changes. Here is what this actually looks like in real life. Someone who was warm, patient, and kind starts snapping at people. An outgoing, social person starts withdrawing, canceling plans, becoming irritable. A careful, gentle person starts making rude comments in public without any embarrassment. Someone who was never a risk taker starts making impulsive financial decisions. And what do families say? She's just getting cranky in her old age. He's always been a little moody. She's stressed. He's depressed. Depression is real. Stress is real. But here is what people need to understand. The brain region most responsible for personality, the prefrontal cortex and the frontal lobes, is a primary target of early dementia. Specifically frontotemporal dementia, or FTD, which is actually more common than Alzheimer's in people under 65. FTD does not start with memory. It starts with the person you love changing, right in front of you, into someone you don't quite recognize. Neuroscientists call it egodystonic change, meaning the person's behavior shifts away from who they fundamentally were. The cruelty of this is that the person experiencing it often has no awareness it's happening. The brain regions responsible for self-monitoring, for recognizing your own behavior, go down too. So the person with early FTD doesn't think they've changed. The family around them watches a stranger slowly replace someone they love, and no one connects it to the brain. Here is something that almost never gets talked about. In several long-term studies, personality changes, specifically increased apathy, increased rigidity, and reduced empathy, were documented on average 6 years before dementia was formally diagnosed. 6 years. That is 6 years of a family wondering what went wrong with their relationship. 6 years of arguments, hurt feelings, estrangement. 6 years where some of those families could have gotten a diagnosis and actual answers. The question to ask is not, has this person become difficult? The question is this person fundamentally different from who they used to be in a way that started gradually and has been getting worse? That distinction matters enormously. Fact. In a study of frontotemporal dementia patients, the average delay between first personality changes and actual diagnosis was 3.6 years, because doctors kept treating it as depression or relationship problems. These aren't bad people. These aren't broken relationships. These are brains that need help. Sign number 3, sleep behavior changes. And this one has research behind it that genuinely shocked the neuroscience world when it first came out. Acting out dreams in your sleep. Let me explain what that means, because this is very specific. During normal REM sleep, the stage where you dream, your brain is designed to paralyze your body. This is called REM atonia. It's a protective mechanism. You dream about running, but you don't actually run. You dream about punching someone, but your body stays still. Now, what happens when that mechanism stops working? The person starts physically acting out their dreams. Punching, kicking, shouting, jumping out of bed, running in place. This is called REM sleep behavior disorder, or RBD. And here is the finding that stunned researchers. In multiple large studies, including work out of the Mayo Clinic, people diagnosed with RBD went on to develop Lewy body dementia, Parkinson's disease, or a related condition at rates of up to 80 to 90%. 80 to 90%. Not a small correlation. A massive, predictive signal. And the window between the first RBD symptoms and a dementia diagnosis. On average, 10 to 15 years. So for over a decade, a person might be physically acting out violent dreams, a partner might be getting kicked in the middle of the night, and the family just laughs it off as restless sleeping. No one tells them that this is one of the most predictive early warning signs for neurodegeneration we have ever found. There are other sleep changes that researchers now link to early brain decline as well. Sleeping far too much during the day, hypersomnia, especially combined with night waking. Irregular sleep-wake rhythm, where the person's sleep has no consistent schedule and they seem to exist outside normal day-night patterns. These changes are tracked in the hippocampus and brainstem, two areas deeply involved in both memory and sleep regulation, and they can precede cognitive symptoms by years. And here is something remarkable that ties sleep directly to Alzheimer's risk. During deep sleep, your brain's glymphatic system, basically its waste clearance system, runs a cleaning cycle. It flushes out beta-amyloid protein, the same toxic protein that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. Chronic poor sleep disrupts this cleaning cycle. The protein builds up faster. The brain gets more toxic over time. This is why sleep researchers now argue that chronic sleep deprivation, over years and decades, is not just bad for your health generally. It may be actively accelerating Alzheimer's pathology in people who are genetically or otherwise vulnerable. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is brain maintenance. Fact: a single night of sleep deprivation increases beta-amyloid in the human brain by approximately 5%. Imagine decades of disrupted sleep. If someone you know has started physically acting out dreams, please take that seriously. It deserves a sleep study and a neurological conversation. Sign number 4, loss of sarcasm. And this is the one that, when I first read the research on it, I had to read it twice because it is so unexpected. The inability to detect sarcasm, or more broadly, difficulty reading social cues, tone of voice, facial expressions, implied meaning. Here is what this looks like in practice. Someone makes a sarcastic comment, and the person with early dementia takes it completely literally. Someone looks visibly upset, and the person seems not to notice, or not to respond appropriately. Someone tells a subtle joke, and instead of laughing, the person looks blank, or laughs at the wrong moment. And the family around them says, "Oh, you know how Dad is. He never really had a sense of humor anyway." But here's what's actually happening. Understanding sarcasm, detecting when someone means the opposite of what they say, is an extraordinarily complex neurological task. It requires the right anterior insula, the right inferior frontal gyrus, and prefrontal processing, areas of the brain that are damaged early in frontotemporal dementia and also in early Alzheimer's. Researchers at University of California, San Francisco ran a famous study where they played people sarcastic audio clips, like someone saying "Oh great, another Monday" in an obviously sarcastic tone. Patients with early frontotemporal dementia couldn't identify the sarcasm. They interpreted it as a genuine, positive statement. Control subjects, and patients with other conditions, had no problem. The sarcasm detection test became a diagnostic tool. But it's not just sarcasm. It's the broader package of social intelligence, what researchers call theory of mind. The ability to understand that other people have different thoughts, feelings, and intentions than you do. When theory of mind declines early, the person starts seeming more self-centered, oblivious, socially awkward in ways they never were before. Again, families say he's just gotten selfish in his old age. What is actually happening is that the brain is losing its capacity to model other people's inner worlds. Fact: researchers found that sarcasm detection deficits appeared an average of 8 years before formal dementia diagnosis in some FTD patients. The next time someone you love seems to be missing the point of conversations, especially combined with other signs from this list, pay attention. Sign number 5, changes in taste and food preferences. And this one surprises people because it seems so ordinary. Sudden, unexplained changes in food preferences. Specifically, craving sweet foods when a person never had a sweet tooth before, or becoming fixated on one particular food and wanting to eat it constantly, or suddenly refusing foods they have eaten and enjoyed their entire adult life, not because of texture, not because of a stomach issue, just a complete change in preference, with no explanation. This is documented in frontotemporal dementia, and to a lesser degree in Alzheimer's, as an early behavioral sign. Here is the neuroscience. The orbitofrontal cortex, the part of the brain that processes reward, pleasure, and preference, degenerates in FTD. As it does, impulse control and reward-seeking behavior change. The person develops almost compulsive sweet cravings, because the brain's reward regulation is breaking down. Some patients gain significant weight in the early stages of FTD simply because they eat sugar constantly and have lost the regulation that normally limits this. Others develop very rigid food rituals, eating the same meal every single day, at the same time, in the same order, which reflects the compulsive, inflexible behavior that comes from frontal lobe damage. Now, I want to be careful here. Changing your diet is normal. Developing a new preference is normal. What is not normal is a dramatic, rapid shift in someone's relationship to food, combined with other behavioral changes, that represents a clear departure from who they were. A person who spent 60 years turning down dessert, suddenly eating cake for breakfast every day, while also becoming irritable and losing empathy for people. That combination deserves medical attention. Fact: in one FTD study, 77% of patients showed significant changes in eating behavior, making it one of the most consistent early signs of that type of dementia. Okay, so you've just learned 5 signs that have nothing to do with memory. Loss of smell, personality changes, sleep behavior disruption, loss of sarcasm and social reading, changes in food preferences and eating behavior. Now, what do you actually do with this? First, do not panic. Any one of these signs, in isolation, means very little. Most people who lose some smell sensitivity do not have dementia. Most people who get irritable are not developing frontotemporal dementia. What matters is combination and progression. 2 or more of these signs, in a person over 45, that have appeared together, gradually, over time, and are getting worse, that warrants a conversation with a neurologist. Not a primary care doctor saying it's just aging. An actual neurologist. Second, write it down. The brain changes gradually enough that we normalize it as we go. Keep a simple log. If your mother started getting unusually irritable 18 months ago and stopped detecting smells around the same time, write that down. When you bring it to a doctor, the timeline matters enormously. Third, ask about specific tests. The Montreal Cognitive Assessment, or MoCA, is a free 10-minute test that goes beyond standard memory questions and tests frontal and executive function. Ask for it by name. Ask for a smell identification test. Ask whether a sleep study is appropriate. Fourth, remember that early awareness changes outcomes. This is not hopeless. Interventions, lifestyle, medical, cognitive, work better the earlier they begin. Sleep quality, cardiovascular health, social engagement, physical exercise, and stress management all demonstrably affect the pace of cognitive decline. You are not watching helplessly. You are watching carefully. And that is a form of care. Awareness is intervention. Here is the truth about dementia that nobody says out loud. Most of the time, by the time a family realizes something is wrong, they have already been watching the signs for years. They just didn't know what they were looking at. You do now. You know that the brain speaks early. It whispers first, through smell, through sleep, through personality, through social connection, through food. And if you learn the language those whispers are speaking in, you give the people you love the greatest possible gift. Time. Time to get answers. Time to plan. Time to make the most of the years that are left, with full presence, with full love, and with the dignity of preparation instead of shock. If this video gave you something, share it. Send it to a family member. Post it. You never know whose life that share might change. If you want more videos on brain health, early disease detection, and the neuroscience behind aging, subscribe. Hit the bell. Every week, we go deep on the stuff that actually matters for your health and the health of the people you love. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of your brain. It's the only one you've got.